Session will be recorded and made available to you afterwards. And also Beck has popped in the note a copy, if you don't have it already, a copy of the workbook that accompanies Joanne's session today. So you can download that and that's yours to keep. There's also space in there to take notes, or you can take notes on screen as you wish. Firstly, welcome everyone. My name is Cheryl Gray. I'm the CEO of Women's Network Australia, and it's great to be with you all today. This is the second in our Wisdom Wellness series. It's a monthly series that we're having, and really pleased and excited, of course, to have Joanne Brooks with us, who is the wellness wisdom. Has so much to offer and share, and we're really pleased to have you here, Joanne. So thank you so much for that. Okay. I'm going to hand over to Joanne. Our session today goes for an hour. So if you have an opportunity to ask questions, you can either ask them in the chat. I'm sure Joanne will be able to respond as you go, or we will be able to have some general discussion at the end. I will, for the purposes of just keeping the recording relatively clear, I'll just mute you if you're not speaking, and I'll be muting myself so that we can keep the recording as clear as we can. All right, over to you, Joanne.
Wow, thank you, ma'am. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, what's Zoom doing in the middle of that? Get myself sorted here. Lovely to see you all, ladies, and thank you. And for those who are joining later via the recording, yes, this is the second of the series of Wisdom Well masterclasses, if you want to call it that, that we've planned out for the year. And this topic today is about navigating challenges, building resilient businesses for long-term success. I'm sure we all resonate with this. There's if you're I remember a long time ago, I had a staff member who said she needed to leave because she couldn't stand the changes that kept happening in business. I just sort of laughed to myself quietly. I wasn't rude or anything, but you know, one thing that we do know in business is that change is a constant. There is no doubt about it. But this one's particularly about navigating challenges, and I grabbed these two metrics of the Australian Bureau of Statistics to reiterate that the entrepreneurial spirit in Australia globally is huge. In Australia, 5.1 million staff are employed by small business owners. That's a huge chunk of staff across the country, and 98% of all businesses are classified as small business, SMEs. And that's all of us, right? We're not corporates. No, I'm assuming none of us are corporates. And so, you know, we have this underscoring entrepreneurial spirit across our country that we should celebrate. But notwithstanding, we've got to understand how to navigate the challenges that come our way. So what are you going to learn today? I'm going to help you to identify and address some of the challenges that might be impacting your business, some strategies, some systems. And what I know is embracing mindset of opportunity is the thing that will get you through what you need to get through every single day. You know, it's how we respond to challenges, not react. And I use those words deliberately. React can be something that is quick, without thought, without presence, and not always going to be the best approach to challenges. But respond, for me, is more considered. And so we need to consider that. So let's go and dive in. Maybe for those of you who don't know me, Joanne Brooks, been around for a little while. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. I've launched about 17 of them. And yes, I did build one to 30 million in 24 months. That was one heck of a ride. What's not sitting in there is I also liquidated that. Which one was harder? Growing a business at pace at 24 months was so much harder than taking 7 years to liquidate a company, because that's how long it took. I'm an author, co-author of a #1 bestseller on Amazon, written a whole bunch of ebooks. I'm a business resilience mentor, and I'm super pleased and proud to be part of the Women's Network Australia as an ambassador and a partner. So that's me. but enough about me. So how do we identify and address the key challenges? Number one, let's go and explore that. And do feel free to pop a question in the chat. You're most welcome to. I can't see the chat, but I know Cheryl and Beck are monitoring it. But if there's a question, Cheryl and Beck, that you look at that and you go, oh, let's just jump in and do that, just interrupt me and let me know so that we can cover it straight away. So some of this might look like a bit like a marketing concept. Assess your pain points. What are the areas of your business that create pain for you? You can see I've got some points here. Create rituals. And again, that's a word that I use deliberately. A lot of people, you might have heard terminology of creating rhythms, creating processes, etc., those sort of things. When I think of rhythms and processes, I think of them as an automated thing that I'm not necessarily putting a lot of presence to. Creating rituals in your business is something that's going to help you to identify where there's areas of challenge in your business or where there's weak areas. Rituals for me is not like where we're brushing our teeth every morning and we don't really think about it. A ritual is where we are fully present with it. So how many of us are looking at our financials every week to understand what's coming in, what's going out, where's the gaps? How many of us do a modeling of our cash flow forecast to understand the impact of what and we would experience this during COVID, an impact of negative 25%, 50%, or 75% in our turnover, but our expenses stay the same, because we all experienced that during COVID, right? Our expenses stay the same, but suddenly our turnover just plummeted. But equally, what would it look like? Have you done the modeling to understand what would an increase of 25%, 50, and 75%, what would that look like? Because as I alluded to earlier, growing a business at pace, hitting a 30 million turnover, and that did take me 25 years, not 24 months to get to that point. It took me a long time to understand what it took to do that. But growing at pace and the model of, the plus percentages impact on your turnover, what is the consequence of that on your business? We went from having 5 staff to 110 staff, from having 200 clients a month to 200 a week. What's the consequence on your business when your growth suddenly goes through the roof? Because that's harder, so much harder. And a lot of us are not prepared for that. So how often are you auditing the weak areas in your business? How often are you going on your website and buying your own product? Because I can tell you links break and you won't know until that customer doesn't arrive, and maybe you won't even know. So look at the areas of pain points in your business and find a way to navigate them, to respond to them. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Do you have an advisory board that sits around you? Your advisory board could be members of Women's Network Australia. You're here in this network, and have you thought about the fact that you have an amazing and an abundance of women in business who can support you and help you? There's a Facebook page there that's just for Women's Network Australia. How many of you pop a post on there going, oh, I'm thinking about this. Who might have some insight about that? Can you give me some feedback? Those are the things that you can do with presence to help you resolve those pain points in your business. How often do you ask your customers, what was the customer journey like for you? What was the thing that I said, that I did, that I do, that you saw, that have you going, I want some of that from Joanne or Cheryl or Beck or Sigrid, etc. Have you asked what the journey was like and why they made that decision? And as I put there, how often do you buy your own offer? Also go do that with your competitors. That's a really interesting piece to understand what their journey is. And with those areas that you've identified here, what's the plan? How do you resolve those? Prioritize the challenges. What are the ones that are impacting your turnover or the performance of your business most dramatically that you need to take some steps? And if that list is overwhelming, which often it can be, to-do list can be pretty jolly large. The one thing that I know is to ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do now? That's a book, but what is the one thing? It's an amazing book from Mark Keller. I've listened to it a few times, read it a few times. It is a fantastic book to help you to clear your mind, the clutter, the huge to-do list, because I can tell you, if you breathe and you just take a moment and you ask yourself, what is the one thing, that thing will, excuse me, that one thing will be served to you, and you know what you need to do. And it could be that you go do that, and then an hour later you're going, what's the one thing I can do now? Just keep asking yourself those questions. So put a plan in place to help you work on those pain points. So action items for you, just some ideas, and they're in your workbook. You don't have to answer them now or whatever, but just some ideas that you might consider to help resolve those pain points. Quarterly business health check. Grab a template. If you need those, reach out to me. Implement regular surveys or feedback loops with your customers. Use a project management tool to break down the things that need to be done. Like, I'm a huge lover of technology. If anybody's heard from me, high tech, high touch is what I talk about all the time. And what does that mean? High tech means making good use of the technology that we have available to us today. And high touch means that technology enables you to spend more time with your customers and get better engagement. So consider these things as maybe some ideas that you can navigate and resolve and work on and create an action plan for the challenges that are in your business. So that's just some suggestions. It's not an endless list, but it's maybe a couple of ones that you might want to consider. So your health checklist might look at what your financials look like, what's your customer feedback, your operational efficiency, how much automation do you have in your business, how's your marketing going, examine your team. Now, your team may not be actually paid staff. They could be contractors, outsourcers. It could be any number of those. You might have casual staff, but it might also be that you don't have staff or outsourcing yet, but you want to look at those things so that you can put in some rituals to understand how better to manage and look after your staff. Analyze your positioning. Identify your compliance or legal risks in your business. Are there any gaps there? How often do you have a conversation with your accountant to have a strategic conversation about the growth of your business? Set strategic goals based on your findings and create an action plan, which might be a little to-do list on a piece of paper, or might be a project management software. But these are the areas that I would suggest that need to be reviewed. And that might seem, this might go, fantastic, bloody hell, Joanne, I've got a huge to-do list already. Get that? We all have one, right? But the wonderful thing about technology is you can automate a bunch of this stuff. You can set up systems that will remind you. There's Asana, there's Trello, I use Blue as a project management software system. Use a spreadsheet. You could use Task and Outlook. There's lots of ways that you can do this. So my response to those people who might be thinking, I don't have enough time in my day, is that, and I'm happy to share that, I have a time management budget tool that will help you to identify where you are wasting or losing time, because we all have 168 hours a week. That's a lot of time. And how much of that is income producing? How much of that is admin? How much can you outsource? And most importantly, my question is, how important is this to you, to the growth and the health of your business? Because if you don't delve into those things and you start scaling, those things become larger and have bigger consequences to you on your business. Number 2, strategies and systems to foster resilience and ensure long-term growth. I already touched on some of this. So build strong operational foundations. So if anybody's heard me speak before, you will have heard this analogy. I often talk about the fact that if you're going to build a house, you know that your builder's going to put some nice foundations in the ground. If you're going to build a high rise, you know the builder's going to go many layers, many levels. And so I say to business owners, so why is it that when you're building your business, you've got a skill set, you've got a genius, you've got a passion for your business, why are you not investing in the foundations of your business? And then the question might be, well, what are those foundations? Yep, it's automation, it's policies, it's standard operating procedures, it's documentation, having contracts with suppliers and collaboration partners and all those sort of things. It's streamlining the automation, the workflows to handle the disruptions. And some people do a little bit of an eyeball roll on me with that one. But one thing that I do want to point out, when you have those foundations in business, the one thing that maybe a lot of people don't connect with is that when you have those foundations, do you understand that you are improving the financial value of your business? it becomes worth more money. So my next question is, what is your exit strategy? So your exit strategy might be to walk away. It's perfectly valid. You'll run your business differently. It might be your franchising. You might be merging. You might be listing on the stock exchange. It could be any number of things. But unless you define your exit and build your operational foundations to align with that, and your exit could change, but all of those things are building those footprints into the ground so that you can grow and scale. And everybody's version of scaling is different. Scaling for one person might be, I'm putting on a VA. Another person could be, I'm going to go to the US to sell my product. It could be that it's a turnover piece. It could be a number of customers. It could be any number of things, and everybody's growth strategy will be different. But to put in, it's a hard no for me when somebody says, I want to grow and scale my business, and I'll say, well, we need to do this operational piece. And they say, that's not something I'm interested in. I'll walk away, because I know that business won't stand. It won't have the foundations. If you think about a simple thing, like you're putting on staff, how do they know how to answer the phone on your behalf, unless you've got a written policy that tells them how to answer it? Yeah, you could tell them, but what if you then got 20 staff? Do you have time to tell that person, 20 people, the same message 20 times? There's lots of systems that can help you with that. Diversify revenue streams. This is one thing that I did come unstuck with, and I'm always happy to share the things that I did wrong in my very large company. I had diversity of income. I had diversity of suppliers. But over time, those suppliers dwindled down to one. I was working on getting more suppliers, but I ran out of time. So I liquidated a $30 million business. So diversity of revenue streams is so possible today for all of us. We all work on these beautiful devices called computers. So what is the affiliate income revenue streams that you're implementing? What is passive income revenue streams? Do you have a light version and a high-end version of your product? Everything in between. You can't rely on one income stream. And look at where can you partner with people. My biggest growth strategy has always been, over many, many years, go find an organization that has my clients in volume. I collaborate with Women's Network Australia for my own benefit, to share and help other women in the membership, but it's also to help me build my business. I'm unashamed about the fact that I want to build profitability in my business. We all need more of that. Continuous learning, and I know this is something that's very deep to the heart of Women's Network Australia. This is something that you can't say, I've got my license now, I've done my learning, I did my bachelor's 20 years ago, I did this, I did that, I don't need to do it anymore. Well, I call rubbish on that. Continuous learning, because everything's shifting and changing. Look at the technology that changes constantly. You know, that I came across a platform the other day through LinkedIn that somebody showed me that I can put in a text message and it will create an image to it. I heard this morning that that same platform for free will now put your branding all through it. That is something that's changed in 24 hours. How do you keep in touch of this if you don't continually learn? It's podcasts, it's qualifications, formal learning, informal learning, webinars, masterclasses like this. Please don't get complacent to think that you're on top of it. Even if you hold a qualification, even if you've been doing it for 30 years, it is something that you need to proactively undertake to keep ahead of the curve. Because, you know, there's a piece of legislation that came in early this year that most people aren't aware of, environmental social governance. It's a reporting requirement for any business that interacts with a publicly listed company. Does anybody work with government, state, federal, local, or work with any large companies? Did you know that you need to be able to report your environmental social governance to that company so that you can do business with them? That is the stuff that you need to keep on top of so that you can continue to grow and build your business. This is not to scare you. This is to say these things are constantly happening and it's your responsibility to keep in touch with it. So action items.
Joanne, just before you go on there, we just mentioned one of the questions that's come up, and it comes up a lot in terms of time management tools. There's a lot of obviously apps and various different ways to do that. I think you know, have you got sort of the silver bullet in terms of time management tools?
Yes. You know what? The interesting thing that I've done, and I haven't done this for a very long time, but as of beginning of this year, I've decided to give myself more time. So yeah, I get up at 5, I do all those sort of things, but I don't actually sit at the desk anymore. It used to be 7 o'clock. Now it's not till 8:30. So you might consider that I've lost an hour and a half, but the fact that I've spent time on me, getting me ready for the day and grounding myself, I have found that I'm so much more productive during the day by spending time on me first. But I just simply use Outlook. And if there's things that I need to do each week, I just block my calendar out. They've got particular colors to them, and you can do this in a Google calendar. You can do them in any of these. So I simply book myself out. And if somebody can't find a time to reach out to me, like, I'll just say to them, if you can't find a time, give me a call, and I might be prepared to wriggle that. So those sort of, that very simple process is what I do to make sure that I stay on track.
And I think you use Calendly or one of those tools
I
for
do.
to book appointments with you. So
Yes.
that's all automated. But then obviously, yes, by blocking out time in your calendar enables you to control when people are using your time or taking up your time.
Exactly. And, you know, as you know, I'm completing my MBA, and I at first thought, oh, crikey, where am I going to fit that in? Well, you know, after dinner for an hour, I go and sit on the computer and I do my study, and I find a couple of hours during the weekend. And, you know, because of the particular qualification and the university that I'm doing it through, that's very doable. I can work full time and study full time. So again, it's for me to identify what are my priorities, because when you do think about your priorities, then you will find time. Right?
I think that leads very much into this slide, particularly the one with professional development, because often we find that we're so busy with all of those other items that things like professional development and personal development tend to fall off the list.
Exactly, it does. You know, we as women in business, this is a very sweeping statement, but we will often put ourselves last. We don't pay ourselves at the same rate and the timing that we should. We don't give ourselves space. So as I said, I made the conscious decision to give myself 2 hours every morning on me. So as this quick point says here, what are the manual processes that you can automate? And I know that's something I can help you with. I know Nikki Bickley can help you in a massive way as a member of Women's Network Australia. If you don't belong to her hub, go and join it. It's $20 a month. It's cost effective, and she gives you a bucket load of resources on helping you to do that. Where can you generate additional revenue streams? The easiest ones are affiliate. If you use a particular platform, go and find out if the fact that you love a platform and you use it and you share it and someone wants to use it, and you know, the virtual platform that I use for meetings, it's just got an affiliate link. Oh, well, here you go. And it just happens seamlessly, right? So where can you find easy additional income without a lot of effort? And then put a plan in place as where can I expand, create light versions of my products? Where can I create memberships? Where can I collaborate with other people to generate that additional income? So that's for you to consider at your own pace. So embracing the mindset of opportunity, even in the face of adversity, you know, I'm a huge believer of we are what we say, we are what we think. So one of the things that I often get a little bit frustrated with when I speak to business owners and they say, oh, I'm just a small business. And I virtually want to put my hand through the screen and just give them a little tap at the back of the head and say, can you stop using the word small? Because when you say small, think small, do small, what are you going to get? Small. And again, your scaling level, where you want to take this business is your call, where you want to take it. But just drop that self-speak, that automatic word that you use to talk about the fact that you're small. Just stop it, if I can just ask that. So the things that I know, like, and I've been through some interesting challenges. One of them was I branded a company. I'd lost a franchise opportunity. It was a company that had the number 2 in it. So I decided to brand my company with the number 3 in it. And it was literally, F you, I'm going to do it one better than you. Literally, that was my thought process. Not a lot of thought put into the brand, all that sort of stuff. Got it going for a year. And then I got a letter. I went down the right path of listing my brand for IP Australia to get the trademark, all that sort of, did all the right things. And I got a letter from an international company to say, actually, Joanne, you cannot use that company. We have exact same name. We do education just like you to our staff internally. Nobody's heard of it. You have 6 days to change your brand. Now, that's a huge problem, right? Massive problem. So I looked at it and went, okay. I sent them a letter and said, can you give me 6 weeks instead of 6 days? I did that. And then I went and thought about, well, how am I going to do this? This is long before Canva and all these amazing, beautiful tools that we can do ourselves. So I spent a bucket load of money with a brand company in Brisbane, and they created the most beautiful brand. And it was the most beautiful brand, and the one that I built to 30 million. It was the game changer. So I could have absolutely gone, oh my God, woe is me, all those sort of things. But what's the point? What is the point? I had a valid point. And I will tell you, after spending a lot of money on brand and just rebranding this company in the last week, I will fight to the nth degree for my brand. And it's so important that if somebody challenges it, like that company did with me, I totally get what they're talking about. But it's how you approach these challenges that land on your desk, because constantly they're coming. There's competitors, there's problems with staff, there's a staff member said the wrong thing, or a customer's angry. How do you look at it so that it's from an opportunity? Could be an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to do something better. We all know that. We've heard all this stuff before. I know my parents used to say this to me all the time. It's how we respond, not how we react. So for me, it is, if it's overwhelming, it is, I take a breath. What is the one thing I need to do now? Is the thing that's going to shift the way that you think about this. So reframe the challenges as growth opportunities. I saw an opportunity that I'd whacked together this brand, and I went, okay, I'm going to own it, because I didn't put a lot of thought in it. I didn't research it as well as I probably could have. Here's an opportunity to go and get a brand, a company that could rebrand my business and make something beautiful. And they absolutely did. It was an amazing opportunity. So the simple process of saying, where can I see the opportunity? Where can I see the silver lining? We've all heard this. But the place that you can go get the support that you need if you're stuck is here. Women's Network Australia. Ring me, ring Cheryl. Put a post in the Facebook group. Actually put an advisory board together. Who do you trust to go, actually, I'd really love that, is it okay, Sigrid, if I just pick up the phone one day, give you a call because I want to pick your brains? And I know Sigrid's going to go, I can see her nodding. I know she's going to say, of course, Joanne. And I will say, and the reciprocal for you. Ask for help. Don't sit back and go, I'm just going to sort it out myself. Biggest lesson, don't do business alone. Surround yourself with people who are going to support and guide you. And that advisory board might shift and change. It's the same with mentors. Like, I consider a bunch of people that I could never afford in a million years as my mentor. Robin Sharma, Brene Brown, Michelle Obama, whole bunch of people. Cheryl, she teaches me a whole bunch of stuff constantly. There's people that I don't necessarily have a formal contractual arrangement with, but I listen to what they have to say. I watch what they're doing. I make a point of listening to their podcasts or read their books or whatever, and take note of the things that they've done and what they haven't done well, so that we can all learn from it. So, I think the fact that we have challenges, there's problems that happen that pop up in our business. It's how we respond, not how we react, and surrounding yourself with the right people. So, one of the things that I notice as a behavior for many people is they go and speak to friends and family, colleagues that they know. So the only thing I say to you is, yes, maybe you use that as a release off your shoulders so that it's not feeling weighty on your shoulders anymore. But do put a checker in there for yourself. What is the credibility of the advice that they're giving you? If they've never owned a business, maybe that's a really interesting point. I don't need to you say to yourself, I don't need to take it on board, but I'm going to go and ask somebody who has that credibility, who's been through that, and where can I go and search for those solutions? So it's really just taking that breath so that you can really think about, where can I get the support that I need? And as I said, like, there's a number of ladies that I have around the globe that I'll go, that we already have an accountability meeting once a month. We catch up. They're in the US, in the UK, and we just catch up and we share ideas, those sort of things. Consider that. It's your circle, it's your advisory board, it's your trusted source. These are people who are going to help you get through what you need to get through every day. Just looking at the time. So get a solutions journal, debrief on major setbacks. What could you do differently? Commit to attending one networking groups. Take action, participate, ask for help, and surround yourself with the right people. So very quickly, because I wanted to give at least 10 minutes of questions and answers because I'm mindful of time. So your business resilience plan could look something like this. It's an actual document, your business overview, and it's a version of your business plan. What's your risk assessment? What are the potential risks in your business? Economic downturn, supply chain, staff. What's the probability of it happening? What's some measures you can put in place to mitigate those, to make sure that you can navigate them? It's not necessary to avoid them, but what can you do to navigate them? What's your financial contingency planning? How often are you looking at your financial modeling, as I spoke about before? You know, one of the things that I do when I work with women is, and this sometimes it feels a little bit confronting for them, I'll offer, I have a banking and commercial lending background, so I offer to look at their financials to find my fees and their cost savings. Because I can look at some expense, I can look at a set of financials and I can tell you what's going on in that business, what story it's telling me, and where you are wasting money. So for me, where can I find my fees in your financials? Makes life easy, makes the decision easy for people to engage me. But how often are you looking at financials, and do you understand the story they're telling you so that you can make some contingency planning? What are the operational processes you have in place? Do you back up your computer? Don't rely on Google doing it for you or OneDrive doing it for you. There's stuff on your computer, on your desktop, on all sorts of areas in your computer. Are you backing it up? Can you find better suppliers, partners? What are the remote capabilities for you? Leadership. Where are you turning up? How do you communicate with your team? What's your decision-making framework look like? And what are your growth and adaptation strategies? Because you know what? COVID's not the only crisis that's going to hit a business. We've had economic downturns. We've had the GFC. It's just another one that comes our way that we need to be prepared for. How can you put good foundations in that your business is going to withstand and stand up strong against these things? So key lessons. I know I've done this super fast, but you've got your workbook. All this content is in here. Resilience requires a proactive approach. Foundations, super important. Keep learning. Challenges are just an opportunity in disguise, and just surround yourself with the right people. That's what I suggest you do. Next month, super quickly, we're celebrating International Women's Day, so we're going to be talking all around that. Super exciting. If you want to connect with me, you can grab that QR code and make a time to catch up. Would love to have a chat with you. As I said, I rushed the last little bit, but I know you've got it in your workbook, so I'll just leave that up for a few more seconds and I'll stop sharing so we can go and have a look at the questions, comments, pick my brains. You want to disagree with me? I'm cool with that. Let's have a conversation. That's awesome.
Joanne, I think one of the challenges I hear for existing businesses that may have been operating for, a period of time, months, years even, and they get into a space and probably look at that list, particularly the continuity and contingency planning that they should have, and probably go, haven't done that, haven't done that. How do they carve out the time to stop what they're doing and do the things that they should have been doing or should have done in order to move forward without feeling that they are, losing
under pressure? Yeah, under pressure. Again, it's about creating those blocks in your calendar. One of the things we used to do at this, you consider the pace of a $30 million business in 24 months, but every 3 months, the executive team took 2 full days off. We went away, our phones were off. Yes, we had a team to manage, but we locked ourselves away and we revisited the strategic plan. We did that. We looked at the performance and then we revisited and recrafted, reshaped our executive plan. And then we shared it with the team through whichever manner we chose to. It is such an important piece to your business that you have to think. It's a mindset thing. How important is it for me to review my performance and understand how does that performance align with my goals that I've set, and what tweaks do I need to make? Because if you have not made the tweaks and you're not getting the performance you need, you're not going to hit those goals. So it is just something that you need to own, that this is where I want to take my business to whatever level, and how important is it for you to take positive action to make that happen. Only you can decide that.
Nicole, Paula, Kat, anyone have any specific questions like to ask of Joanne? This is your chance to tap into her experience and knowledge. And don't worry, there are no dumb questions.
I am coming at this from a very, very early stage. I'm currently on leave from a workplace due to just an incapacity to deal with the misogyny any further. And I'm looking for options for what to do next with my career.
Yes.
And so I'm sort of really coming at this as very educated, highly specialized in my field, but absolutely no business knowledge whatsoever.
Yes.
And a single mother to 2 children, so cash flow has to be a factor.
Be on point. Yes.
And yeah, where do I even start? For now, I'm like Centrelink parenting payments and the starting businesses support is the kind of pathway that I'm looking at. But yeah, I'm sort of joining these sorts of things and looking out whatever's out there to see what support I could have. So yeah, if you have any other avenues for me to pursue, I'd love to hear them.
Paula, before Joanne answers, can you just broadly describe what your professional experience is? What's your superpower?
So I am a dietitian who has a PhD in the microbiome, and I've spent 7 years working for a gut microbiome sequencing company. So I was a 7th hire. They're now up to 100 people. So I have been very involved in the rollout of the company, and am now find that the company, they brought in a consultant from Silicon Valley who has moved the company in ways that are totally opposed to my scientific and ethical standards, which has become unsustainable for me in the last year. So that's me and my story in a nutshell, if that makes sense.
Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Paula, first of all, here's my link. Let's just book some time so that we can catch up separately. Just let's go do that. One of the things that I often speak to people, and I've had a few conversations like this, is that they come to me and they go, well, I don't know what to do. I've left this particular role. I'm not sure what to do. And so one of the exercises I suggest, and this is for everybody, it's a great exercise, is to get a blank piece of paper. And I'm a huge fan of colored pens. Get a whole bunch of colored pens and write 50 things you know, really small, very narrow things that you know that you're in flow with. And, I've had people, they'll text me in the middle, I've got to 26, change the pen color. Another one will come to you. They get to 50 and they go, oh my God, I know a lot of stuff. This is great. This is awesome. So the purpose for you to do this, Paula, is to identify where the things you're in flow and that you love and that you have great expertise of. And you can probably rattle a whole bunch of them off, I'm sure already. But to put them on paper gives you clarity. And if you want to keep going, keep going. But what it might help you to identify is, oh, I really love that thing. I love this area. And then work out, then, you know, it could be you and I getting together and going, okay, so how do we commercialize that? How do we put a business together that will?
I already have 3 ideas.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
Could be actually 4 potentially that could be combined in different ways. But yeah, just very aware of how inexperienced I am, and I'm not, because of my situation at work that I'm still in the process of extracting myself. I'm not actually able. I have a lot of networks, yes, that I can reach out to support the different streams I have of an idea, but I can't yet reach out to them without.
That's closed off. Yeah,
I can't yet reach out to them without having to divulge things that I'm not ready to divulge with about my relationship with my current employer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just, this stuff, I thought this inspires me or gives me a few clues on where I can, what's out there to support. Because I feel like there must be stuff out there of like helping women entrepreneurs set up, and
that's something that I do, and happy to share that with you.
Thank you.
For the other ladies listening, the 50 things could be, hello, I've now got 50 topics to talk about on social media. Happy days. That could be really cool because you know a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You go, oh, I can write an article about that, or I can do a video about that. But it's actually very it clarifies for you what you know, where you're in flow, where do you lose time? Even think of it from that point. Where do you lose a whole bunch of time? Give me a good spreadsheet. I'm a happy girl. Stick me in Canva. I'm a very happy girl. All those sort of things. Give me a good process or workflow to create. Love it. I just lose time like that.
The thing I would say to Paula too is that's a fantastic exercise, and it will certainly help you to narrow down where you want to focus. And then I think it's also important to then think about, based on the 50 things you know and do really well, which one of those are people looking for? You know, what are the questions that other people are often coming to ask about? Because sometimes, unless we think about where's the market for my idea or my skill, we can have an amazing thing, but if no one wants to use it or buy it, we're a bit of a minnow. So it's almost, and I think I've heard Joanne speak about this before, about matching it up with, you know, what you love and what you're good at versus what do you know about what's out there. Because sometimes you might find that where the market is there'll be an intersection with your list, but it's finding that intersection and working on that. And sometimes it moves around where you think it is. And that's obviously where things like your market research component comes into play. What does the market actually want?
Yeah, so my latest role was actually clinical product scientist, and I was working with a lot of product managers. So I spent a lot of time here working on product market fit. So what you're saying resonates.
Yeah,
that learning experience that I've been on. So thank you.
Yeah, and so you know, it's questions like, okay, if it's product market fit, what's the process that you use to undertake that? And then how could you potentially monetize or commercialize that process and make it usable and relevant to a whole lot of industries, perhaps not the one that you've been working in or focusing on. So there's a lot of navel gazing, for want of a better
layers.
But I think having someone to help guide that process for you is very useful. And sometimes the answer might be, you're not ready for business. You know, you may aspire to, but it might be that you identify a different skill set that there's a market for you elsewhere, and then it's perhaps putting you in touch with you know, recruiters and recruiting companies that understand your values and who you might want to work for, and help you find that pathway.
Yes.
I do fear sometimes that we jump from situations of unhappy and think that the answer is, I'm going to start a business and that'll make me happy.
Not always the way.
Because business is not easy. In sometimes it really is the answer and it does make you really happy, but I think having the clarity and going through that exercise to be sure that that's the pathway. It could be that it's collaborating with someone else who's doing something, but if they had the skills that you had, or the process or the background knowledge that you had, you could actually make what they're doing so much better. So don't feel you need to tick all the boxes on your own.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm exploring different options. The problem I have is, I've become almost so specialized in this very unique skill set that the jobs that get advertised, I never quite am a good fit for. So yeah, that's why I'm left sort of working out.
And your 50 things may reveal something that isn't as narrow, where you think you're narrow and you might go, oh, actually, there's a broader context.
That's it. Like, if we find something that uses all of me, then it's very narrow, but I've actually got many strings to my bow, so I could go in so many directions. So 50 things. I think the 50
and thinking about the things that you do each day, you know, it's about managing teams. It's about, you know, there's all these layers of things that you've done. I'm surmising that you might discount. Well, that is a skill set in it. Not everybody can do those sort of things. So really, so that's why I said get down to the micro. Even if you reflect on, okay, if I walked in the office today, these are the things that I did. Oh, I really was good at this and this and this and interviewing people, you know, whatever. Just really think the micro, because that will really reveal, oh, actually a broad, we all have a really broad spectrum. And what did I really enjoy about those areas? Might help you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, my pleasure. Anybody else?
One of my reflections, Jo, is that I'm wasting time. Just through your talk, you're very organised in your approach to work. I'm very keen to learn more about that, and be more efficient in the way that I use my time when I'm at work, so that I've got more quality time for me when I'm not at work. So that's been really great to kind of process in my own mind, and to understand that the tools you're using are tools that are accessible to me right now. And I am using them, but very not intentionally. I do it intentionally some days, but not all the time. So finding some consistency within that, I think, will be really helpful.
So one of the things, like consistency, is not always my go-to place. So if I know that I'm going to slip on something, I'll set an alarm on my phone, and it's an alarm that has a name, and it might be every 3 hours. Stop. Stop. You need to go do something else, or I've got an alarm on this thing that says stand up, because if I don't do that, I won't. And as I said to somebody yesterday, the butt gets bigger or gets numb, right? So you need to stand up and walk and get away from the computer. It's so easy to get sucked in and be in flow with that thing. So whatever alarm or reminder or thing that you need, just implement, just set it up. So that it could be, I'm going to set an alarm every 2 hours so that I actually switch tasks. So I get all this stuff done. And tomorrow I'll get back to finishing that one that I started yesterday morning.
Yeah, it allows you that flexibility. I like, that's my take home for today. Nice. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Wonderful. I liked, I agree with you. I think using tools that you use every day is really the key. I know I experiment with all sorts of things And then I do find myself just coming back to my old Outlook and what's in the diary, because that's the place that over a long period of time guides my thinking and my planning. So things like color coding within that diary. So identifying what's a business development period or activity, what's a sort of personal or professional development activity, and having different colors for those different activities means that when you pull back on the week, you can look and go, oh, I've got no time for looking at the financials and doing the business admin. Is that the choice I want to make this week, or should I find some time in the diary to do that? Or I'm really heavy on networking activities this week. What's my outcome from that? And where do I need to then look at next week to give me time to follow up all of those opportunities? So just having some different color-coded activities is a really simple way for you to get a quick handle on your week and say, okay, well, if I want, say, 80% of my time to go towards business development or client servicing, and I want the other 20% to go to new leads, social media, and financial stuff, you can very quickly just look at your color coding in your diary, and you'll see if you're actually hitting that target or if you're a bit out of balance. And then you can really just take some easy steps. Put in a bit more time, take off some time. What can you move or reschedule to a later date? And if that's a tool that you're used to using, use the tool that you know and love rather than trying to teach yourself
another one.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that I put in Outlook is rules. And I know so many people don't. They've got an Outlook number of unread emails of 5,000 and something. At the end of my day, it's always zero. Always zero. So I put rules in place that when an email comes from Cheryl or Beck, it goes to Women's Network Australia. If I see an unread email in there, I know I've got one from Cheryl or Beck. So I'll go and read it. So rules help remove the clutter of your Outlook. And they're so simple to implement in Outlook. So simple. So
I think that's key. I would say, Joanne, is key and is hard at times, because in order to use those tools properly, they often take time to set up properly. And it can feel very much like you're wasting time while you're spending time getting something set up. But the benefits that setting things up properly provides long-term is huge.
Massive. Yeah, massive. Yeah. Because I've got a folder that sits in junk and I just go delete.
Yeah.
I've got a folder that says other, delete, because it's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't. And every now and then I'll go in and go unsubscribe, because it's so annoying. And I might do that sitting in front of the telly with a wine. It won't be necessary at the desk.
Yeah. Love it.
Multitasking. But anyway, I feel that we've, thank you. Unless there's any other questions, I'm just really super respectful of your time. Thank you for coming along and engaging and connecting. Paula, reach out. Let's have happy to have a conversation. And with you, Kat, more than happy. And Nicole, just reach out, have a conversation. If I can help, I'm happy to.
Thank you.
We'll be putting the resources on our Women's Network Australia resources section, and sharing more of Joanne's super brain in our monthly wisdom sessions. So, join us every month. It's a great way to ask questions and get the opinions of others, and challenge some of your own thinking as well. So thanks so much for joining us, and thank you so much, Joanne, for sharing those.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you next